Hey guys, it's Mark from Nothing More. We're bringing the True Tour to you in 2019 with special guests of Mice and Men, Bad Flower, and Palisades. Get tickets right meow.
Cigar City Radio is sponsored by No Clubs and StateMedia.com. Find out about upcoming concerts in Tampa Bay by visiting StateMedia.com and tagging No Clubs on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Use the hashtag #WeAreConcerts.
Hey, Jason, you know that No Clubs has a ton of shows coming up in February?
What?
Yeah, a bunch of them. Do you want to know what they are?
Yeah, tell me.
I will. I'm going to tell you right now.
I'm waiting.
Are you?
Well, technically.
Tuesday, February 5th, Seven Dust is coming to Janice Live. Tuesday, February 12th, Shut Up and Dance with Walk the Moon at Janice Live. Friday, February 15th, also at Janice Live, you can catch the Yonder Mountain String Band.
Yonder Mountain String Band.
Yeah. Saturday, February 16th, across the bay at the Orpheum, you can catch Lee Scratch Perry and Subatomic Sound System at the Blackboard Jungle Dub 45th Anniversary Tour. Try saying that 10 times fast.
No, I'm going to leave that to you.
Yeah, all right. Next night, also at the Orpheum, Sunday, February 17th, Murder by Death and J. Roddy Walton and The Business are coming. Wednesday, February 20th, at the Orpheum, Copeland. Sunday, February 24th, Revolver presents Corrosion of Conformity, Crowbar, The Obsessed, and Mothership at the Orpheum. Then Monday, February 25th, got a hip-hop show, A Boogie with the Hoodie is going to be at the Ritz Ybor with Don Q and Trap Manny. That's a great name, Trap Manny.
That's a great name.
I love that.
And I want to know if I'm going to be able to get in without a hoodie on.
I think you have to wear a hoodie.
That's bullshit.
It's a Boogie with the Hoodie.
I'm down with it, though.
Yeah. We're not cool enough to go to that show. I
don't even own a hoodie.
Yeah. And then Wednesday, February 27th, closing out a busy month, at Janice Live, Cypress Hill and Hollywood Undead are bringing their tour to town. And you know who's actually on that bill? Who's playing on that tour?
Who?
X to the Z Exhibit. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Exhibit. Yeah, seriously. Actually, it's funny. If you go on Google and you start typing Exhibit, the first thing that comes up is Exhibit alive? So to answer that question, yes, he is alive, and he's going to be at Janice Live Wednesday, February 27th with Cypress Hill and Hollywood Undead. That's going to be an interesting show for sure.
I'll be pissed if it's a hologram.
No, it's no hologram. He is going to be pimping rides in the flesh. So all that and more coming up for No Clubs in February. Also a ton of great shows in March. Just head to statemedia.com and you can look at all of the dates, all of the shows, everything coming up in the Tampa Bay area. Find links to where you can get tickets and more. Just do it. Just go out to the shows.
Do it.
It'll be fun. Welcome to Cigar City Radio, episode number 92. The song you just heard was Cast Out by the band Kino Camino off the album Bait is for Sissies. I'm your host, Randy Ojeda, and make the magic happen, Mr. Jason Solanas.
Do you think that teenagers could build the foundation for a house with all of the they make?
That's actually a good question for politicians. You should ask that at like the next debate. Like, you know how they pick people to like go and ask a question?
Oh, yeah.
That should be you. You should ask that question specifically.
Pretty sure I'll get arrested or
No. I think
something would happen.
They'll be good with it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to spend a minute each on it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Our guests on this episode are Tampa scene heroes, Susie and Keith Ulrey from the band Pohgoh. Pohgoh formed in the mid-90s as part of the DIY indie emo scene of the time, and they called it quits in 1997. 21 years later, they are back with their new album Secret Club, out now on New Granada Records. It's a fantastic record Keith and Susie are amazing, incredible people who are so fun to be around. It was such a great hang. We went into Micro Groove, which is the store Keith owns in Seminole Heights, and chatted with them after hours and had a grand old time. We could have talked for more and more hours if we wanted to.
I could have listened to both of them talk forever.
That's true. I could just listen to the two of them for a while. They have some great stories, and you can just feel the love between them when you're hanging out and getting to know them. So hopefully you get to know them a little bit better through this interview. Check out Pohgoh's Secret Club anywhere that you can listen to music. You can also buy it direct from New Granada at newgranada.com/artist/Pohgoh. That's Pohgoh. So here it is, episode number 92. So it is a beautiful Monday night. It's kind of a chilly Monday night, actually, in Seminole Heights, Florida. We are at the world-famous Micro Groove, hanging with the proprietor of Micro Groove, Keith Ulrey, and his wife, Susie Ulrey, who are also half of legendary Tampa emo band Pohgoh.
Hello.
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 So first, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
I know you've had a very busy week or so.
Yes.
And it's great that you can sit down and chat with us now. So I guess to catch everybody up, so you've been on tour with Mineral for the last few days.
Yes.
Mineral and Tancred.
And
I
Tancred,
want to
yes.
give a shout out to Tancred.
Yes, 100%.
And it's Mineral's, what is it? The
25th anniversary.
25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
We
Man.
old.
Yeah, I know. I feel so old. So, but Pohgoh was kind of originally kind of a contemporary of Mineral, right? Or
Briefly,
yes. I mean, we were both around at the same time,
Okay.
and we traveled in very, very close circles. But we never really crossed any paths other than like seeing them when they were here. And
yeah, we
you know.
never like played shows. By the time they were here, we were already done.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we broke up just before they did, actually, in 1997. But because they were a touring machine, they definitely had a larger groundswell than we did. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we were
gonna sign to Interscope.
Yeah, they were about
Yeah.
to sign to Interscope Records and stuff like that. So, but we definitely cut from the same cloth. We know a lot of the same people, and that's what kind of made awesome hanging out with them these last 4 days, was that we could just talk about a lot of commonality and people and old stories. And
Well, and
Yeah.
and we met Chris after the fact. Because when Mineral did their reunion at
2014.
Was it Fest?
yeah,
He
2014.
came down here first, and he played for Keith at New World.
Cool.
And we totally hit it off, and we hung out with him the whole weekend, and so it was just kind of good timing, you know?
Yeah. You were telling me earlier, so you emailed them like specific, or you hit them up about the Tampa show specifically.
Yeah, because Chris and I had stayed in contact. His band, Zookeeper, now called Mountain Time, had played a couple of my South by Southwest parties that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And played here, too.
Yeah, and so that's how we also knew each other to bring them over here solo. And then, so when they announced their tour dates, they had 4 Southeast shows, and one was Tampa. So I had messaged Chris and said, "Man, we would love to play Tampa." And originally he said, "Yeah, I think our agent and our parties involved. There's not going to be any openers, but if that opens up, you're definitely on the bill. No one else is going to play." And we were like, "That's awesome."
That's really cool. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I checked back in with him maybe a month later, and I said, "Hey, any word on that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you should be seeing an email in like a day." And the email came in from their agent, and it was for all 4 Southeast shows: Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Atlanta.
That's really
So
cool.
that was amazing,
It was really fun.
and way beyond what we expected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that it seems like it's kind of like putting a cherry on top of what was, even though it happened in 2019, but
Yeah.
it puts the cherry on top of 2018, which
Yeah.
seems like it was a really like almost triumphant year for Pohgoh, with
Totally.
Super.
with the release of Secret Club and you did a tour after that, and there's just so much cool stuff I felt like was happening around Pohgoh, and everyone was excited. You know, I was
Totally.
there at Gasparilla. We were, you know, side stage doing this, talking to other people at Gasparilla when you performed, and that was like, you know, I could like feel the emotion in the audience from people that were so stoked that you were
Yeah. Thank you so
doing
much.
it and killing it, and
Yeah.
it sounded so good. And that I had actually never listened to the band until that time.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so it was like my total introduction to you. And I was like,
Nice.
man, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
you
Thank
know.
you so much.
Yeah, like your voice, Susie, is so like just pure and like
Thank
I don't
you.
know. There's like an earnestness to it. That's
It's
really
my
cool.
favorite thing to do. I express myself better when I sing, to the point where Keith has a talk mic when we play, because my in-between song banter is so below subpar.
So Keith is the official banterer.
Oh,
then.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Always.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you need that in a band, though. You need
Totally.
to have the
Yeah.
banter person. You know?
Otherwise, it's dead silence. in between
Yeah, when you're tuning and-
Or me
so-
like totally ruining a punchline or
Yeah.
flubbing my words or saying something that's just silly and
Yeah.
so
So yeah, so I you know, even though I wasn't there in the beginning, it was cool to see, you know, the return of Pohgoh now
thank you
this
so
year,
much.
and you know, all the hype around
Sure.
the band was very well deserved.
Well,
you
and
know?
that's the thing, you know, when we officially got back together and started writing songs, and we knew that there was going to be a plan, a new album, a tour, we knew, okay, there's going to be people that are going to be really excited we're back together. But we also knew, just because of the landscape of the independent and DIY music scene, that we were going to be a brand new band to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we also treat the band as just that, a brand new band. So even when we're playing shows and we play a couple old songs and we play the new songs, you know, we recognize, and we'll even sometimes acknowledge verbally at a show, like, hey, we know you don't know us, but these are some new songs. This is a brand new album. It's for sale over there, whatever, that classic thing. But so it's actually been kind of cool, you know, and it feels very nostalgic to revisit being a new band for a lot of people, while also being nostalgic for the true nostalgia of being back together after 21 years. Does that make
well,
sense?
and we're doing it now because it's fun.
It's fun.
You know?
Yeah.
There's no expectation. I mean, I know that we've had a really busy year, but that's all snowballed from us having so much fun playing
Yeah.
together again and writing all these songs and being like, okay, let's make a record.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should tour. Well, maybe we should play Pop Fest. Well, maybe we should play Fest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like all this stuff happened. So it's all been a whirlwind, but just really super cool and
Yeah.
exciting and validating and
Yeah.
just rewarding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, there's it's definitely not a machine. Like, we're not like professionals and stuff like that. I mean, we have a general idea of what we want to do. Like, you know, I've had a couple people say, hey, would Pohgoh want to play this show or that show? And I'm like, well, our next 8 months is kind of booked out.
Plus, it's more
Planned out.
complicated now that
You
we're all
know?
grown up and we have our own lives, and it takes planning. And now you can't just at the drop of a hat
Yes.
pick up and go.
It's true, yeah. I know. Like there was, I think we interviewed Fastball a while ago, and they were talking about how somebody messaged them on Instagram and was like, "Hey, you need to come to Turkey,
Yeah.
and you can stay at my house and you can do this show." And they were like, "Well, that's not how like bands in their 40s tour,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Sure.
that's you
No.
can't do that when you
Yeah.
have 2 kids. You can't just go off and stay at somebody's house somewhere,
Sure.
you know."
Sure.
But that's interesting. So let's kind of bring it back. So again,
Yeah,
for like the
go for
new listener or the new Pohgoh fans, people that don't know the history of the band. So you started in the early 90s. Like when did the band form and how did it form?
The band started in the spring of 1994. There was a different singer, a very young girl named Kobe. And when I say young, she was young. She was like 16.
Wow.
She's a year younger than me,
Yeah.
just for the record.
So, yeah.
Oh, Susie's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That,
So,
yeah.
you know, and it was kind of interesting. We were like this tiered band. We were 16, 18, 20, and 22 when we
Okay.
started. I
So
was
only
about-
one of you could get into the bar.
Yeah,
you know?
so I was the
Yeah.
old guy. And we used to just, the scene in Tampa in the mid-'90s was amazing because it was punk rock, it was DIY, but there was also high-level club shows that just, it all blended very nicely. And we played a lot and just created a good following and, you know, good pop songs. Kobe was a wonderful front person, very energetic. And we did a national tour, two U.S. tours with her and a couple records. And then she left because she was graduating high school, going to go to college, the whole thing. Susie was in another really popular band at the time. We really loved her voice. We really loved her songwriting. So we were like, look, let's just ask her if she wants to join. And this was in December of 94. 5. And so she joined that January. And by March, we were recording a 7-inch with Susie. And by the summer, we were doing a 5-week U.S. tour.
Wow.
Put out a split 7-inch with Braid. And when we got back in the fall, we started recording our debut album. And the album came out. We broke up before the album came out.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
then-
that always how it happens?
Yeah, and then we played we did get back together for a hometown album
Last
release
show.
show.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And then that was pretty much it for the band. So we were only together for about 2.5 years, But we were able to, by touring in old school, because back then, pre-internet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There were resources, like there was a magazine you could buy at the punk rock record stores called Book Your Own Fucking Life. I don't know if I can cuss on this podcast,
You can
but I just
absolutely,
did.
you can fucking cuss all you
All right.
fucking want.
But it was
Put
cool because
out by Maximum Rock and Roll.
put out by Maximum. So you would submit to it, and then that way so if you bought it, you would look up like, oh, we want to go to Virginia. You'd go to Virginia, and it would say, hi, my name's so and so. I book I book punk rock and indie rock, and I really like this. And then you'd call that person, and like I have old issues that still have like Jimmy World and Jim Atkins' home phone number in it. Like that's how
great. Yeah,
old
yeah.
school it was.
That's so cool.
And so that's how we met these bands, like Braid and Promise Ring and all that kind of stuff back in the day. And, when we went to Urbana a couple times and played with Braid, or, we played with Promise Ring when they came down here to Orlando. It was us, them, and Hot Water Music. And
Yeah.
we were all just kind of peers doing our thing. And so I kind of lost track of where I was going with that. But it just...
Yeah, you're going with it.
I don't know, man. But it just what I was getting at was just that we, because of that networking, we were able to kind of place ourselves into that little bit of lore, I guess, to use kind of a broad word.
Yeah.
When people look back at what they call second wave emo or whatever, and we never even really looked at ourselves as an emo band. We were an indie rock band. We just happened to nicely fall in with these cool people that also got lumped into that word.
Well, and I think at the time, I feel like emo was like almost like a bad word,
Yeah.
Like
it wasn't even it wasn't a thing yet.
It wasn't a
That's
thing
true.
yet.
Yeah, yeah.
It was
It
kind of
wasn't a thing till like the 2000s.
yeah, this
you
is
know.
pre Get Up Kids and
Yes.
Dashboard
well,
Confessional.
It was before Get Up Kids. Were they around on a major label?
no.
No, it was before they got huge.
Yeah.
And then it kind of morphed into the silliness.
Yeah.
That was like My Chemical Romance.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm
I
sure
mean,
that's
not knocking anyone else's musical
You're
taste.
right.
I personally don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
Other people could. Good for you. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
just-
yeah.
but
No, and I
not-
mean,
not my
obviously, we're
scene.
talking
Sure.
about a very different
Sure.
scene here and very different types of music.
So
you know?
historically, to get back to what you were saying, is that's how we were able to fall into that. You know what I mean? And there was a compilation that came out in 1997 called, ironically enough, The Emo Diaries, Volume 1.
Chapter 1.
Chapter one.
Yeah.
Had Jimmy Eat World, Sam I Am, Jejune, and we were lucky enough to have the closing song on there.
Cool.
And that really was
That was the impact.
that was the impact.
Yeah.
I mean, we just played Atlanta on Saturday night, and I had a guy come up to me and said, and we played the song. He said, I never thought I would ever get to hear that song live ever in my entire life.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool, and so, and of course, like I mentioned before, we had put out a split 7-inch with Braid. So that kind of sealed us with our kind of cool factor, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's also amazing just thinking back about how important something like a compilation
Mm-hmm.
was back then.
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess it's like what playlists are now. Just
Well,
Well, and it requires effort. You have to
Yeah.
seek it out. Now everything's at your fingertips.
right.
You know,
Well-
and you can just listen to this one song and not the whole record. you
what's
know?
really interesting is because the album came out on CD after we broke up, we never knew whether it sold well. We just told the guy to put it out, like, just sell them,
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we got back together 2 or 3 years ago and created the Facebook page and the social media train started going that people started commenting and messaging us like, this song was my jam, this album was my thing. We were like, whoa.
Like we found
People
out some
really
really
bought the
cool
album.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like not huge impacts, but like little tiny waves. Like there's this writer, a YA writer in Brazil. And he's worked Pohgoh into one of his novels, and he actually sent us the book.
Really?
Yeah.
One
of the characters is named Pogo.
Yeah, it's just
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like cool things like that,
Cool thing,
and
yeah.
like we've had a couple of videos sent to us of bands in Japan doing full cover sets of Pogo songs.
I've seen like at least one of those that you
and that
posted.
I mean to
you
know that we've had that kind of
Russia, we've seen
Ripple,
cover
yeah,
songs
it's
of Russia.
so cool, on such a small scale, but
So it wasn't until we got back we realized, So last year we re-released our very first album on vinyl for the first time. It was a 20th anniversary edition. We said, let's just limit it to like 200. They're gone. Boom. It went within 2 or 3 months.
which is,
Wow.
I mean, relatively 200 copies, but
Yeah, but
still,
for a indie
band
band,
that
a
hasn't been
DIY
around
band, like-
forever,
So
it was cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah. So, and after the band broke up, we did a couple. We've been doing stuff together with Project Wise over the years,
Yeah,
but
we've never stopped playing music, but
Yeah. So I was gonna kind of ask about that if you don't mind, because
Yeah.
you're married now. So
Yeah.
at what point did the love begin, if you will? Like what
he
it
was
was.
always in love with me.
Oh,
No,
okay.
he admitted it. He admits
that is
it.
true.
He
That is
admits
true.
it. Yeah. Just you tell the story.
Well, I'll keep it simple. The band broke up in '97. We each had our own significant others, and I'd always had a thing for Susie, and we were even in another band and toured then. And then it was the summer of '99, and we both, within a month, broke up with our significant others. And I was actually really upset because I was like, fuck, because I'd gotten so used to not having to pursue her. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
or just like
this-
not having to date.
this unobtainable,
Yeah.
not
Oh,
goal.
okay.
That makes her sound like an object, but you know what I mean. Like then nothing to. Oh well, she's off limits. and,
Yeah, yeah.
Blah blah blah. So I was just like, fuck it, man. And so I just told her. I said, let's do this. And 5 months later, we were engaged. 8 months later, we were married, and it's been 18 years.
Wow.
We only dated. Yeah, we only dated
few
for a
months.
little while. Yeah.
Well, we already knew each other so well.
We knew
Yeah.
each other.
I mean, you had toured together, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all you need to get to know somebody.
When
you know?
you've lived in a van and farted in front of somebody, you know them pretty well.
when you're nicknamed Dr. Toilet, because I'm pointing at myself, podcast listeners, you clog the toilet after all the boys. All bets are off. Like if he doesn't like me after that,
Yeah,
That's
right.
It
You
must
know.
be true love then, if that's the
Dr.
case.
Toilet, man.
Yeah,
my name,
Dr. Toilet.
and he was Dr. Fart. Just
was
for the
Dr. Fart.
record,
I
We're
believe
gonna
that one.
Put it
we
out
have
there.
band nicknames.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, so.
yeah. That sounds
No,
great.
we all got PhDs and
Yeah.
these stupid things that summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Farts, toilets.
So the band's done, but
Yeah.
you're together
Yes.
and you get married, and
Yeah.
then we're still only at 99. So
Yeah.
then what's going on in between that and the full return of Pohgoh?
Well, we continued to make music with other bands, just locally, never touring. We were like, oh, let's just keep being a local band, blah blah blah.
We played South by Southwest a couple times
yeah.
and put a record out.
And other bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in 2002, Susie was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. 2001.
Get your dates.
So
Susie's like, get your dates straight.
the
Keith.
symptoms started creeping up, and her mobility started to deplete, and so we continued to play music. But any thoughts of being a full-time band
too
were just
complicated.
no
Yeah.
way. So for about 10 years, we were just hanging out, and I was a promoter putting on shows at New World.
We were
and this and
active
that.
with the label.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think
Putting out
that's
stuff.
how we maintained our
So
visibility because we still have,
Yeah.
And that's New
networking.
Granada Records for the
Yeah.
listeners who don't know.
So in 2005, we were doing the Christmas night show at New World, and we got 4 bands from the 90s Tampa music scene together to do a reunion show, and it was a benefit for the National MS Society. It was insane. Like 400 people showed up. I mean, we raised thousands and thousands. It was just,
That's
it was
awesome.
sold out. I mean, we were turning people away. So we played that night, and Susie's symptoms, her hands weren't working. So that night we had to play with her just singing and a friend playing guitar. And we thought, well, that's it. That was fun.
yeah.
Well, then, as years would go on and other anniversaries would happen, then we hit the 15th anniversary of the label. And so we were like, man, wouldn't it be fun to do a reunion with the first singer? Because that was the very first record on our label, New Granada.
Yeah.
So we did that. Man, that was amazing. Then we hit the 20th anniversary, which was 2014. And we were like, let's do another reunion. And then in 2014, we played all 5 of us for the first time ever. So we did a
really
split
cool.
set of songs with Susie, and then Kobe, the original singer, came out, and we did a few songs with Susie singing back up and doing second guitar.
Cool.
And that was what actually officially got this is just too awesome.
Why are we not doing this
We've
anymore?
got to keep making music. It took another year or so before we officially started practicing.
Well,
and
we said
writing,
what
yeah.
we said was no expectations,
None.
no commitments, no agreements.
Mm.
Let's just try and get together once a month, play through these old songs. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll write some new ones
Yeah.
and see what happens, And then
And-
we started practicing more.
Yeah,
and
writing and
you know,
writing
yeah.
and writing and writing. We were like, oh man.
Yeah.
You know what
you
I
got
mean?
that inspiration bug.
Yeah. So, that's kind of it, is like we were broken up for 20 years, but we did do the occasional reunion show only at Christmas night for specific purpose. you
Yeah.
know, usually the anniversary of the record label, So
Yeah. And then, so how did the recording for this record, Secret Club, go? Because I know you left town for it, right? You
Yeah.
didn't record it here.
Well, that's another thing too, is like when you get older and you're revisiting something from your past like that, you kind of think like, well, what can we do, or what would be fun that we weren't able to do back then, or capable, or have the money to do. Now we're older and we all have jobs and stuff.
We've always ever only done weeknights and weekends.
Yeah, like it takes you 6 months to record an album.
To
Yeah,
record.
yeah, sure.
So we all kind of collectively said, man, it would be fun to just go away and hole up in a studio for a week. And so we started thinking about it, and there was just one choice. We're all huge fans of the 90s band Jawbox from D.C. Jay Robbins, the leader of Jawbox, he went on to form Burning Airlines and so many other great bands. And he had produced a lot of great albums that we loved. Promise Ring, Braid, Texas is the Reason, all kinds of stuff. And he had recently recorded some friends of ours, the Pauses from Orlando, Thrushes from Baltimore, and some other bands that we knew. And we were like, man, it'd be so awesome to record with Jay. I love his drum sounds that he gets, and he's an idol. It'd be cool to work with him.
As an engineer,
Yeah,
not
as an engineer.
expecting anything
So
else.
we called him. Dude, I'd love to record you. Let's do it. And all of a sudden it was on. It was like, oh my gosh, we're going to Baltimore in 6 months.
So we practiced
for a week.
every week
Yeah.
for like 3 months, and we just hammered the songs
Yeah.
like over and over
Yeah.
and over again, because we only had 5 days. We had a day for travel, 5 days to record and track, and then a day to go home.
Today to come home. Because it's like
Yeah.
a 15-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we did it, man. It was an excellent experience.
It was so cool.
And just to be holed up. And I mean, yeah, you're still online and you're getting phone calls and
Sure,
Facebook
yeah.
and stuff like that. But to just wake up and go into the studio and be there for 5-10 hour days.
Yeah,
Where you're
that's-
doing nothing but
Nothing
being
but.
creative. It was awesome.
And
I
you're
recommend
like,
it to
"Oh,
any
man,
band.
It's 3. Wait, no, not 3 o'clock. Like 6 o'clock. We
Yeah.
haven't eaten anything yet,
Yeah.
and we'll eat in the morning, and then we'd work all
Yeah.
day, and then just be like, "Where did the day go? Okay, I guess we should eat."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful, rewarding experience. Jay was awesome. I would call him a friend. We've stayed in I talked to him this morning.
Cool.
His band Jawbox just announced today that they're doing a tour for the first time in
They
20
coming
years.
to Tampa?
No, not yet.
all right,
but,
let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major cities, but we're
Yeah.
real stoked on that. So,
Yeah, that's really cool.
but
Shout
yeah.
out to Jawbox.
Yeah, totally, 100%.
We might,
Yeah.
we might, if they don't announce more dates, which
Maybe they will
would be fine. But if they don't, we might have to
fly
go
somewhere.
somewhere. To
Oh,
see them.
100%.
Yeah.
They're just one of our, collectively, between the four of us, easily in our top 10 bands for all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
That's really cool. And that's great that you got to record with him.
oh,
Like,
it was awesome.
so were these songs that, you had been writing over the years, or did you like put them together in this like 3-month span?
That's it.
That's how you did
It
it?
was probably like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
banged them out, man. I mean, it just happened.
Yeah.
You know? I know it sounds so, organically, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it's the truth.
No, but it sounds
know?
fresh. Like it sounds new.
Oh.
It doesn't sound like songs that were
Yeah.
10 years written 10 years ago.
Well, thank you so
know?
much. That means a lot.
But that's really cool. So these were all like just brand new songs that you were writing.
Yeah.
And, I think that's one of the things that really resonates, probably with the band in general, but definitely with me with the new record is,
Sure.
Sometimes, again, I'm going to use the E word, but sometimes emo, gets kind of a bad taste
Sure.
because a lot of the, people even think that a lot of emo is like misogynistic
Yeah,
because
right.
there's a lot of like, oh, this is the girl that destroyed my life
Yeah,
kind of
right.
songs,
Sure,
but,
sure.
Pogo
We
and
could talk about that for hours.
yeah, we could. But your songs are, so much about, your experience and what you've dealt with, with
Yes.
and that to me is like makes for a much more like, emotional record in that sense, or just something that's like actually, honest, because that's what you're, again, that's what you've been dealing with.
Well, and I always feel like I can write a song about my own personal experiences, but when I listen to a record, I don't know what they're singing about. I take
Yeah.
what those lyrics are and I apply it to my life. So I hope that it has some more of a universal
oh, I definitely think it
reach
does.
in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, It's certainly not my goal when I'm
Sure.
writing something,
Yeah.
but it's cool when that happens.
When we
You know.
when our first hype track, our single was being pitched by our publicist to publications, he got a couple people come back and go, "This song just rocks. It's just so." And he goes, "But the lyrics are some of the most depressing lyrics I've ever
what song
read."
was that?
Business Mode.
Oh yeah, I love Business Mode. Yeah.
because it's a song about Susie. You know, we're
It's
at
real.
home.
It's
Yeah,
honest.
You know, her legs don't always work, and she'll
Yeah.
just be trying to transfer from her scooter to the couch and fall flat on her face. You
Yeah.
know, and that's what the song
It
is
happens, you know.
Yeah.
and so it's like it's this catchy rockin' number, but then you read the lyrics and it's this juxtaposition or a contrast.
Yeah.
You know, and that was not purposeful, but we were obviously aware of that.
Yeah,
You know what I
sure.
mean? Because when you write a
I
song,
like to write pop songs, but I write about my own experiences.
boom, there it is.
you
It's
know?
like you want to write cool, catchy music that people are going to like, but at the same time, like you said, you want to be able to express something.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I feel like it's the kind of thing where the themes of what you're singing about and what you're writing about is universal.
Sure.
You know, even if people's experiences are different.
yeah,
You know.
totally.
So like I can't think of the song name, but the one where you talk about like the poison running through your veins. You know, it's like I haven't been there, but I can feel that. You know,
I mean,
like I
and
get
that could be alcohol.
Sure, yeah, it could
you
be
know,
anything.
You know,
Yeah.
Sure.
it could be a toxic relationship that
Yeah,
you're in. You know
sure.
what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
so that's really cool to hear. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I went through a 2-year drug treatment, an MS drug, and it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's basically a chemotherapy type infusion.
Yeah.
You know,
And it
so
wiped out my immune system.
it worked.
Yeah, it's working.
That's great. Well, it's
Yeah.
great that it's working. Yeah.
But it wiped out my immune system. It was a 5-day treatment, and I had to recover for a couple months. And then a year later, I did 3 more days and went through the same thing again.
Like she can't leave the house for a couple months.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's the whole like chemo protocol,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like hand washing,
Like-
stay away from sick people.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that
Don't
stuff.
go to a
Zero
buffet.
immune
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, that was one of the things I was writing about because it was just so that I don't know if you've ever been to like a cancer treatment center, an infusion room when they have like those pods of chairs and fluorescent lights and it's freezing cold and the TV's on and the IV poles are beeping because their alarms are going
Sure.
off. All different. It's awful.
now I will say too though, like when we originally were talking to our publicist before the record came out, and we were talking about the pitch and all that, and we also were speaking to a couple of professionals we have in the music industry, friends, for advice. Something that had never occurred to us now, the way publicity is handled versus 15, 20 years ago is, because of there's so much music being flooded now, especially with digital and everything, that we were told, they're like, well, what's your story?
Yeah.
What's the pitch?
Oh,
other
publicists are all
other
about the
than-
story.
Yeah. And so they asked us about the multiple sclerosis. They were like, now, is this something, not exploitation, but
Yeah.
can we mention this? And we were like, of course, because first of all, it's our life.
Mm-hmm.
The whole record is about that. Well, a good majority of it.
Most of
And
Yeah.
she's obviously in a scooter. And so we were like, you know what? If we can make an impact on somebody or raise some eyes or perk up some ears, or maybe there's somebody else out there who has MS or some other immune deficiency disease or a disability that can go,
struggle.
a struggle. I can relate to that. And that was even part of our conscious decision in our band photo taking. Like, do we have her in the scooter or not?
Yeah,
And we're like, you know what? Let's
100%.
just show it. Let's just show what it is,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, because that's who you are.
Yeah. So, it's
because I went through a phase of not wanting to be photographed in my scooter.
Yeah, right.
Like let me stand up for this shot.
yeah.
But no,
But we've embraced it.
wanna
You know
hide
what I
that,
mean? We've
you know?
embraced it.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of what makes you you. And,
Right.
I'm quoting Amy Ray here. She said this on our podcast a while ago, and she said that any part of your otherness should be celebrated.
Yes.
Like whatever makes you different and unique, like that's your story.
Sure. She's great.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I know. Feels like I feel like that my experiences have brought me to where I am and have, giving me the perspective to write those songs. I'm pointing out. I'm looking at
Yeah,
the record
the record's
behind
right
you.
over there. Yeah.
Giving me the perspective to write those songs.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
And I think it's cool. it's also like you're raising awareness too for multiple sclerosis, because like I honestly, like, I'm very ignorant of what multiple sclerosis is and how it affects you in your daily life, but through knowing you, like through Facebook and seeing your posts, I'm able to see like, wow, Susie deals with a lot,
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's well, and I'm not okay with you having to learn about it that way, because I'm dealing with it. But I'm glad that you've learned something from it. You know, because if you Google MS, the first sentence is a chronic, often disabling condition of the nervous system.
Yeah.
And that's all you get. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
and what the hell does that mean?
yeah, and then you
yeah.
see celebrities who are doing great, like Jack Osbourne has MS, but hey, man, I'm doing paleo and I'm traveling the world with my dad.
Right.
No, that's not what it's like.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different.
So yeah, if we can shed some light
Sure.
on that in the process, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then it's also just amazing to see, like you posting, pictures from when you were in the hospital and stuff like that, to then seeing you on stage and rocking out and like performing this kick-ass show. That's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Well, you make time for the things that are important to you.
Yeah.
And I'm stubborn, sometimes to my own detriment.
Yeah.
But we got the okay from my doctors,
Yeah.
and
That's what I was going to say. It's this interesting combination of Susie's determination and perseverance combined with the logical clearance from her doctor to say you can go do
yes,
these things. You know
I'm
what
not
I mean?
just
willy-nilly out there going, screw
Yeah.
the system. I'm going to teeter on death to
and
make
and
this show
social
happen.
and
Yeah.
social media can be good in some cases, but it can also create some misperceptions about, like, oh, well, she's okay to play the show, but she can't come to my family outing.
Yeah.
Wait, no, what you don't understand is that I rested weeks before these last 4 shows, and I will probably be I took a 2-hour nap today, and we'll probably be recovering for the next week and a half.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I still have a blood clot in my arm from the PICC line that I had from my hospital stay. I'm still dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you make it work. You make
Yeah.
it work the best way you can
Yeah.
if you want to do it. So I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this seems like this is what you were meant to do, like just
I hope so.
like no, like
'Cause if not-
it's true. Like, I mean, anybody that's listening to this, if you listen to the Secret Club record, like you can tell, like this is what you were meant to do.
Call up every
great.
record label and say, check out this band.
I will. I will personally do that for you.
Yeah. It's funny is like, sometimes, people will say, I've talked to other musicians and they're like, a weird question is, are you a fan of your own band? Do you ever, and it's interesting because I always say, I don't find it weird when people listen to their own music, because I wouldn't play this kind of music if I didn't like this kind of music.
Yeah.
And it's not to say I put on the Pohgoh record all the time, but I've maybe once every 3 months I'll put it in and go, yeah, man, I'm really pleased with that. That sounds good.
Yeah.
But
You listen to
I
your
like,
record?
well, sometimes
What?
it's for critical, like I'm listening to my drums, or
Oh,
we have to
no.
revisit before a show or something. like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then, but also the point I'm getting at is I do hear the album and I go, I do personally feel like there's a sense of immediacy there. Like, it's 11 songs in less than 35 minutes.
This is how a record should
It just
be. Like
bang,
that's yeah.
just a barn burner.
Yeah.
You know what
No
I mean?
frills. Like when we went in there, we tracked all the drums on day 1. We did. Brian had like 3 bass fixes because he's insanely talented.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then
wow.
I tracked my guitars, Matt tracked his guitars, and during that process, we started with vocals. So by Friday, we had everything tracked.
Yeah.
And usually, I think that's part of the reason we get so, like, we have that Rec Center record where I almost feel like it's overproduced because we had so much time. We were splitting hairs. It had already been split like 20 times. We didn't have that time. We didn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So, it's like in the studio, I got this part. All right, let's hear it. Sounds great. Let's record it, And so it was just really cool to work the record that way.
Yeah. Friday night at 10 p.m., I'm hitting a tambourine, and it's like, that's it.
Yeah.
We were done.
No, but that's what's cool about the record is like it sounds the way the band sounds live.
Oh,
I
great.
think.
Thank you.
Like it captures the live show really well.
Yeah, we didn't want to do. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a big production and then having a live sound. We get that. We've been in bands that do that. But we wanted to make a rock record, and we wanted it to be very energetic, and seem, and we didn't want to put up any airs of who we are. You know what I mean? Like, we're 4 people We're all in our 40s. Susie's the youngest member, and she's 42.
I'm not 42. I'm 41.
She'll be 42 in September.
nice.
Throwing her under the bus here, man.
She'll be 42 in
Seriously.
September. It's
Let's
2019.
shave some months off while we can.
So the point I'm getting at is it's like, there is a part of just like, let's get back to basics, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we really wanted to do that with this album.
Well, and I think part of the reason why it rocks so much is because it felt really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the political and emotional climate that we're in right now,
Yeah.
like it just it's cathartic to just bang a song out
Yeah.
and rip through it and be like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
And you shake everything off and
Yeah.
And the drums sound really good, Keith. I'm just
Thank
saying.
you. We were really prepared. I mean, we practiced when we got there about halfway through the week. We're just getting to know Jay.
Yeah.
About halfway through the week, he's like, "You guys are one of the most prepared bands I've ever worked with."
That's cool.
He said
That's
we
a
were
really
the-
good compliment.
he said we were the most prepared and the most self-critical.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't that
Self-lacerating. or
lacerating. That was the word. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Because it's like you
So-
do something, and it's a good take, and you go, that sucked. And then you
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
and listen to it and go, no.
Like
that's
I was reduced to
pretty good."
tears when I was recording my guitar, and it's like I'm just recording rhythm guitar, but I was freaking out so
Yeah,
much.
sure.
And I'm like having this moment, and we're in the kitchen, and he just kind of looks at me and he gives me the horns, like the metal sign, and raises
Yeah.
his eyebrows, like it's good.
Yeah.
He's like I don't know
Yeah.
what you're so upset about. I'm like it's not good enough. It's never no.
Yeah, we definitely went in really prepared. So
What are your personal favorite cuts from the record? Like, what are your favorite tracks?
The
I know it's
my
like
last
picking,
song
you
is
know.
my favorite song is the last song.
Easterburg.
Easterburg. Yeah. That's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Dude, I don't know, man.
My favorite is Bunch.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, because for me, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a second stage Turbine Blade Coheed and Cambria era track, and not just because Susie, you sing in the same register as the guy from Coheed and Cambria, but because it just has that feel, and then there's that like kick-ass like Dinosaur Jr.-esque guitar solo.
Somebody said that to us the other day.
Oh.
They said, man, that guitar solo is so Jay Mascis.
Dude, it's so cool. Like
Yeah.
I love Dinosaur Jr.
That's
so,
all Matt,
yeah.
man. That's all Matt.
Well, Matt
Yeah.
came with those parts to practice. He came basically with the song arranged, and we did like a crappy iPhone recording, and we called it Braid Chunk because we thought that the verse chords sound like a braid song, and then the choruses sound like super
Very
chunk,
super chunk.
especially
Yeah.
with that solo.
So the temporary name was Braid
Braid
Chunk.
Chunk.
Braid Chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think John Bunch had just passed away. John Bunch from Sunsfield, and Building. What is that? What album is that? I can't remember the name of the album.
Building. I think it's their
It's
second
called
album.
Building. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's less than 2 minutes, and it's super posy,
Oh, it's awesome.
and I listen to it, and it just makes me feel like I can do anything. So I wanted to write a song kind of as like a thank you to him for that, and that's why it's just ridiculously positive.
Yeah,
just like
sure.
And that was Bunch?
yeah.
It's called Bunch.
Oh,
It's
okay,
named
that's-
after
Yeah.
John Bunch.
Oh,
Yeah.
now it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's my favorite track on the record. I
Great,
love it.
that's
And now
awesome.
knowing this, like that makes me like it even more.
Sure.
you should
So-
totally listen to. I'll send you the song Building. You should
Yeah.
listen. To
Yeah,
It's-
please do. Please do.
Incredible voice, incredible guy, and sadly, there was some
Substance
dispute over his
abuse,
death, but
yeah.
it pretty much known that he suffered from depression, and it was probably a
An
overdose,
overdose of something.
accidental or not.
Which
but
makes it even more touching that that song is so meaningful to me.
sure.
Yeah.
Because because I deal with a lot of crap too. So
Mm-hmm.
that
Oh, yeah.
song for me is basically just saying, there are days I don't even feel like I can get out of bed, but I'm like, just fake it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fake it until you make it, and that's
Yeah.
basically what that song's about. You know.
Sure.
So good. I'm glad you like it.
Well, it's kind of what everybody's doing, right?
Right now,
everybody's
yeah.
faking it till they make it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
But-
know if I have an album. I don't know. I'm pretty fond of all of it.
Yeah.
I know
I
that's a
won't.
lame
I won't
answer.
press you on it. I won't make you choose. I know it's like picking between your two children or something.
Sure. I'll tell you what. I
So-
will say this: Business Mode has a special place because that was our first. Like, we can't wait to share our first song in
Song,
20
yeah.
years
Yeah,
with
yeah.
people. And when it came out,
Oh
people-
man, and it starts off so hard.
yeah,
Like
people were real excited about it. So that's a
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, Try Harder. Actually, it wasn't our first song in 20 years. We did a locally recorded single of the song
Version of
Try
Try
Harder.
Harder, yeah.
That we had done at Atomic Audio here in town, that premiered on the Washed Up Emo podcast.
Okay, cool.
2 years ago. So that also has a very special place because I think it's a really great song, and but that was kind of our reintroduction of like, hey, we're back.
Yeah, yeah.
But Business Mode was the first, hey, here's the first song off of the album we just recorded with Jay Robbins in Baltimore that we're really stoked on.
Yeah.
So those two songs, that's my answer. Firm.
That's a good answer.
I would say,
No, that is wrong. The answer is wrong.
I would say Easterberg for me because I'm really proud of my melody on that.
Yeah,
Excellent
It is.
melody.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
I really, really worked on that. And we had the last song on our first record was called Westerberg. And just bear with me, Keith. I know he thinks I take too long getting to points. He's looking at me. He's going to
I'll
start
look over
going,
here.
sure. That means he wants me to wrap it up.
Nope.
Don't
I'm
be
look-
silly. Okay. Westerberg is called Westerberg because of Paul Westerberg, because
Yeah.
he was in the Replacements.
My
because
favorite band of all time.
I was the replacement of Kobe.
Oh,
The song is about
nice.
like,
yeah.
the very first time we practiced as a band together. So Matt also came in with this guitar riff for Easterberg, and I was like, that sounds like it could be, a companion to Westerberg. So let's just call it Easter. So we had the name
Yeah.
before we even had the song finish. And the song title has nothing to do with the song. It was about me realizing that I had started my job when I was 29, and I had hit 10 years. And I was 39, so my entire 30s were spent in this one job, and I was just like, oh, holy shit, where did the time go? So
Yeah.
that's what that song's about, But more so about the subject. I love singing it. It's one of my favorite melodies to sing.
We don't play it too often because it's really long for the album, for this album anyway.
Yeah.
And it is a very moody piece.
It is,
So
yeah.
sometimes when you play these shows where, you're told, hey, you're the opener,
Probably
you
could
got
have pulled off
25
the
minutes.
moody song
Yeah.
with Mineral.
You know
You
what I
want to play
mean?
the hits. Yeah. I
Well,
get it.
just we want to play when you're playing for a new audience, you want to play as much as you can.
Yeah.
So then you go, oh, do we play the 6-minute long song or do we play two?
Two,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now,
That
going
makes
back to
sense.
her saying she really enjoys the melody, one thing I will say is Susie sometimes she'll have a beautiful melody. We'll practice the song, we'll learn it, it's done. Months go by, and then she'll go, I don't know if I'm really happy with that melody. I'm thinking about changing it. And we'll all go, you're out of your fucking mind. That song is awesome.
So then, who wins? Does she get to change it, or
It depends.
Yeah.
Usually we convince her that it's great.
But as I've gotten older and more self-assured,
Yeah.
and although I'm the baby, I'm now the 41, not 2-year-old baby in the band.
Yeah.
I still have to, no, dude, I'm the singer.
Yeah,
If I don't want to sing it, I'm not going to sing it.
sure.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like the song "Digging" on the album, it's split. The first half of the song is just guitar and voice, and then the band comes in. So when we were writing it, she's like, "Hey, I've got this song. Let me play it for you."
And it sounded totally
And
different.
she played the whole song, and Matt and I were almost like, I don't even want to put any music to that. Like, I just want to hear her sing and play the guitar.
Yeah.
So the compromise was, what if we arrange it as a split arrangement? So we get to listen as the band, the first half of the song, and then we'll come in and play the second half of the song. And so it's like this kind of compromise
That's
on
really
the
cool.
songwriting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Super smart.
take that compliment. I see you.
Putting it, folding it up, putting it in a bucket.
But just save it for later.
Yeah,
Save
sure,
it for later.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're in 2019 now.
Yeah, man.
The triumphant return was 2018. So
Yeah.
2019, what's on the horizon for Pohgoh?
Well, we just did these 4 Southeast dates with Mineral, their 25th anniversary tour. They just got back together, put out a 2-song EP. Amazing
we had rock
songs.
camp, 4-day rock camp,
Yeah,
immersion
and-
therapy
yeah.
with
Cool.
Tancred and Mineral.
And
It
Tancred,
was-
who have a fantastic
that
new
record
album on
is so
polyvinyl.
good.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. The greatest people also. I mean, we just got along with them so well. So that literally ended this weekend. We just got home last night. It was amazing. We got back from Atlanta. So we have a local show coming up here at Microgroove on the 3rd. We're playing with a brand new band from South Florida called the Darling Fire.
I'm not hip.
Kind of another reunion-ish
situation?
superstar band. It's like people that haven't played together in a long time, but it's members of more from the kind of 90s emo scene. Rocking Horse Winter, Further Seems Forever, Shy Elude. So
Yeah, I
Like
used to
all
love Further
Miami.
Seems Forever.
yeah, so it's like all members of that. So we're playing here on Super Bowl Sunday. I probably shouldn't have booked a show on Super Bowl
We're not
Sunday.
into sportsing. We don't
Yeah,
know.
I
when
mean,
Super
there's
Bowl
going to be
Sunday
people
is.
out there that
But
aren't.
it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah.
And then if I'm not spilling too many beans,
Well, not just wait. Just say there may be some travel plans. And
well, that's not what I was going to talk about. We're actually, after the February 3rd show, we're going to take a couple months off.
Okay.
Because as we've said, we're all getting older. Matt
has a belly button
he
hernia.
has a hernia. He's got to have a hernia
Oh,
surgery.
no,
Yeah, man.
Matt.
So he's got an umbilical hernia, which you can look up pictures of that on the internet.
Don't.
It's fun.
Just don't.
Of his
Don't.
hernia specifically?
No, yeah. Well,
Yeah, so he needs to have that surgery. So like this trip we just did, he couldn't lift anything. So we had to bring...
so I had to lift everything.
No.
Just kidding.
So, and because Susie's in her scooter, we had to bring somebody with us. It was like, it sounds lame to be a local band. Say, yeah, we had a roadie or
Yeah,
a tech,
yeah.
but we had to
but
do
who's
that.
qualified?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because of Matt's situation, so we'll take a couple months off, and then we've without anything firm or
We
making
don't have
announcements,
anything firm.
there's some deep travel plans potential for 2019.
Like to the core of the earth, deep. No.
Yeah, yeah, like really,
Yeah.
really deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll leave it at that.
We need
That sounds
we need
really exciting.
passports. We'll put it
We
that
need
way.
passports. Let's put it that
Oh,
way.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, can I make a guess? You know,
Sure.
is it Japan?
We don't know yet.
All right, all right. Knowing the band, I'm gonna guess Japan, but
Well, let's
you
see
know.
what pans out in a few months.
yeah,
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
But
It would be rad. And
yeah.
I mean, if we get the opportunity, that's basically where we're at right now. Things have been tossed out to us that we will consider, but we're not
Right.
going to say, let's do all this.
Yeah.
Because we just can't do that anymore.
Right.
So like when we only pressed 300 records.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of Secret Club, and we found two smaller labels. One we had worked with in Japan called
Yep.
Waterslide, and then one in the UK called Barely Regal. And there's
That's a great name,
I know,
Barely
right?
Regal.
There's two brothers, and one of them was just on tour with Los Campesinos, which is
Yeah.
another indie band.
He's
but
in the band.
he said, "Are you going to come out?" And we were like, "We'll see."
Yeah.
And then, then Japan's like, "Are you going to?" Well, I don't know. We
Yeah.
can't make that stuff happen.
Sure.
You have to make it happen for us. And then
Yeah.
there's a whole control element for Keith that he's going to have to let go of, which is going to be hard
It is.
because he has to have his hands in everything.
Sure. Well, I book all the tours.
Sure,
I-
yeah.
I do everything.
So if we can make it happen, absolutely.
Things are being talked about.
Yes.
all right,
things are
all right.
being-
We'll
there's-
leave it there. We'll
Yeah.
leave it there. Yeah.
So
The
yeah.
wheels aren't in motion. The air's being checked in the wheels right
But yeah, I mean, the album's out in England on Barely Regal, in UK. I shouldn't say England, the UK. It's on Waterslide in Japan. And then in a month or so, it's actually going to come out on cassette on a brand new boutique label out of Germany called 30-something Records.
It's the first release.
Interesting. Wow, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really fun.
Yeah. That's really cool. So I guess the good news and what we can confirm is that Pogo's not going away
Nope.
again.
No.
There's not going to be
We're-
another 21-year break.
We're
No.
still writing. We on these 4 shows we just did, we played a brand new song every night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're still doing it.
Not like 4 new songs. We played
Yeah.
the same new song.
Yeah,
yeah, I got you. Yeah. Either way,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And so maybe some recording plans this year, some new stuff.
see.
Maybe. I mean, I guess the typical cycle is you work an album for 2 years.
Yeah.
So let's just see what this next year brings. I mean, because the album just came out in September.
Yeah.
It seems like, you say,
Right,
2018 last year, but it's only 5 months old.
Yeah.
So we've still got a ways to continue to work the album, So we'll see. I mean, definitely we want to record another album
have
sometime.
6 or 7 songs in finished. Just me, vocals and chords and lyrics.
Right.
Melodies, lyrics, and chords.
But it seems like a really cool position to be in as a band because you are adults, like you have your own lives, you
Sure.
have your store and other things outside of the band, so you can kind of be choosy about the things that you do as a band and the things that you want to accomplish. So
It's a
that's,
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
yeah.
It
So
really
that
is.
that should give hope to some people listening out there
Yeah.
that you can do it.
Yeah.
You don't have it's not necessarily a young man's or young woman's game anymore.
But to be fair,
yeah.
I'm not going to play the Oprah, you can make your dreams come true, anything is possible.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the stuff that he did, this tour that he booked, was because of relationships that we've built up in the past 20 years, not necessarily from the band, from a label perspective, from all of the different bands that we've worked with over the years and the people that we've maintained contact with. Like, how long did it take you to book that tour?
Months.
He did it by
Months.
himself, no booking agent. I mean, it was really nice to be out with Mineral and Tancred and have like green rooms. And,
Yeah.
you know,
And
they
a-
would
and a rider.
They would share their. We didn't have a. They would share their rider with us,
Yeah.
but like to have a place to go, you know, and not
Time to be there and all that.
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That was nice.
like when we toured, we had one guarantee.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was pretty punk rock, which
Yeah.
was totally
Super punk
fine,
rock,
and it was
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
You know,
But you know what was great about that tour? This was in September after the album came out. We did 10 shows in 10 days up to New York and back. And what was great was there was a couple places where we rolled in on a weeknight and there was 15, 20 people there.
which was awesome.
But it was awesome because we were playing these tiny rooms and it was either just people that wanted to come check out this new band or it was people that really wanted to, that knew us.
Yeah.
And so even though we were playing these small shows, like we did great on merch every night. So that's really something to a band to go and play. Like most bands, I mean, we were young, and you go play to 10 people and you go, that show sucked, blah, 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 blah. But then when you play to 10 people and you do a couple $100 in merchandise to
Or you
10
play
people.
to 10 people and 5 of them say, I put this song on a mixtape for my wife when we were dating.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You
Like,
know what I
that's
mean?
cool. You
So
know?
even though some of the shows weren't these amazing turnout, every show was special and killer. And plus, we were just excited to be playing, man. We didn't care who was there. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that I would have to say there was a worst show, but if I had to put it in order, you know, there was one show that was well under attended, and it was still awesome. It was still awesome.
Some
and we
friends came from out of town.
Yeah.
We hung out.
we
you know.
found a brand new cool local band up there that I continue to listen to. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah.
it was neat.
Well, that's really cool, and I think
Yeah.
that if you know if if younger bands are listening right now, like that's one thing to take away from this is that
Youth is wasted on the young.
yeah, that's definitely something to take away from it. But also just that, you know, having these real connections with people and these real fans, like that's how you can make it as a DIY band now.
That's right.
You know?
That's
like
right.
and you might not financially make it, but you'll
No.
be supported and people will listen and people will come to the shows and it'll make it worth it to continue to do it because you're making those real connections as
Sure.
opposed to, you know, just being on a Spotify playlist
Yeah.
and people not knowing that you're
Well,
whatever you are.
I
you
think
know?
because we never got to that point where we had writers and booking agents and stuff. Like, we never got jaded about it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
So I think we're pretty much out of time. I feel like
Yeah.
I could keep talking to you all night, and
Sure.
you know I'd actually like to do a follow up where we just talk about the label and micro groups
Oh, yeah.
specifically because that's a whole nother story that I want to know about. But
I've got
You know.
stories that go on for years.
yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm
He
sure you
gets on
do.
a loop with stories.
Yeah.
I would love
sometimes.
it. I would love it, man. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, but before we wrap, any final thoughts? Any last words for the Cigar City Radio listeners?
Support local music. Listen, you know, there's a lot going on in the scene today,
Uh-oh.
and you go on Facebook, and it's like you get 20 notifications for one. Oh, what am I going to do?
Don't say you're interested. Just say you're going.
Just say you're
I'm just
going
kidding.
and go. You know, and you know, people say, "Oh, the music scene kind of sucks right now. It's so saturated." Well, there is a lot going on, and there's a lot of places all doing live music, but it's on the people that are on the other end, the non-performers. Like, you've got to come see these bands. You know, I've had shows in here. People say, "Oh, we want earlier shows. We don't want to pay a high cover. We want all ages, and I'll do an all ages show for $5 here. It starts at 7:00, and there's 11 people here."
Yeah.
You know, so my last final thought, my Jerry Springer final thought is, go out, go check out some killer bands, man. Go support them, and don't just go, "Wow, that was cool." Buy their merchandise, buy their shirt, buy their album. Go see them again.
I
you
think
know?
it's pretty safe to say that no matter what political side you're on right now, everybody could do with some distractions.
That's right.
So, what better way than to get out of your house and see some live music? You know, like, you may surprise yourself.
Yep.
You know, just get out and
Yep.
stop. I'll be honest with you. I'm tired. I did not want to come tonight. I was grumpy and telling Keith, "You like to do all the talking anyway. You can just do it without me." He's like, "No, he wants to talk to you too." And I was like, "Fine." So, but I'm up here and I
you're
had a
here,
great time. You
I'm
know
glad
what I
you
mean?
did.
So,
I'm glad you did.
yeah.
I did too.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, just get out of the house, see some live music. It'll,
Yeah.
it'll just get your mind off things
Yep.
for a little while. That's all.
And to the young bands, because I get a lot of booking requests from young bands. We want to play microgroove. We want to play crowbar.
It's not like
And I'll
American
always tell
Idol.
them,
You're not
look,
gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, and
work
I
for
always
it.
tell them, like, look, are you a customer here? Have we met? Have you been to a show here? And they'll go, well, no. I'll say, why don't you come to a couple shows first? Introduce yourself, and then we can talk about booking your band. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, and that's not me putting down some parameters to play microgroove like we're some fancy place.
No, but
that's trying to encourage somebody to come be a part of something. Come be a part of something organic and network. Heck, they might meet somebody here who's into similar music, and then they go, dude, let's put a show together. And now
Yeah.
you got a 2-band bill all of a sudden.
Or let's start a band.
Or let's
Yeah.
start a band.
Or maybe then they'll get married. You know?
yeah.
Yes.
You know?
Boom. There it is. Cue the Cigar City fade out music.
It's true. No.
Play me off, keyboard cat.
Yeah. No, thank you guys so much. I totally agree with your sentiments, though. You know, if you're listening to this, go outside, check out something,
Yes.
Yeah.
and come to Microgroove and buy a lot of records because there are some great ones here, and it's a great store. And you guys are great people. So.
Now the queen of hearts is dead. I didn't know just how I felt until the dark eyes were on me, and I knew just what was meant to be.
Conversation.
Go for it.
I'm revising our dinner plans.
Okay.
You're gonna go get Zico's, and we're gonna order groceries. So you'll have coffee in the morning.
Oh, sweet. I like it.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that plan too.